thousand flowers everywhere, this butterfly. Boom! Got a fist of power, you can fight me, but you can't close these eyes. Blinded by my light, bigger in my hands. The joy is in the fight. Break the blessing in the dam. Watch out because I don't hold back. Keep pressing cause I'll never crack. Bursting with color I spin. I'm kicking down the gates of hell. I got you underneath my spell. Built up a hell, went to heaven, now I'm breaking in. Hey, 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 time to put your metal to the test now. Hey, 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 don't you know you're messing with the best now? Hey, 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 time to put your metal to the test now. Hey, 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 don't you know you're messing with the best now? Hey, 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 time to put your metal to the test now. Hey, 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 don't you know you're messing with the best now?
All right. Take that down. Hello, everyone. Hello. How are you doing? It is good to see you. It's been a little bit since I've done a stream like this. Hello, Plague Rook. It's good to see you. All right, time for some Red Squirrel Q&A. Yeah, absolutely. This is the time to do it because I'm sure a lot of people have been wondering what's been going on with the channel. It's only been doing game streams and the D&D streams on the weekend for a little while. Space Junk, Suffering. Are you all right? Hope you get better soon. All right, so what has been going on with the channel is that I am trying to get it back up and running on a decent schedule. I've been incredibly busy with work for a very long time now. It would seem like I would get used to what work wanted me to be doing and get a schedule set around that, and then work would change its load. What I do is I fill up vending machines on a route. So that will either change the route in some way, add something, take away something, change what days things are being done. So that would throw off the rest of my schedule. And then, or just move me to a new route in general. That's happened a couple of times, including this time. And for about the past month and a half, ever since the end of July, they've had me on a route that took about 16 hours to complete. So every day I was working a 16-hour shift and then coming home to get about, at best, 4 hours of sleep before going back in for another shift with just the weekends off. So yeah, that got tiring real fast. Space Junk. This channel needs more Minecraft Hunger Games Let's Plays. No, I'm not doing that. I've recently played Minecraft again, and I went through it about an hour, me and my wife playing together. I broke a couple blocks, built a rough dirt house, and it's like, yeah, well, that's pretty much all I wanted to do was Minecraft. I did it. I built a dirt house, and I realized, yeah, I got over this game like 3 years ago. Have you optimized the routes like bees do it? I don't know how bees optimize things, but I'm sure it probably has something to do with hexagons. But these routes were not optimized, and the routes are still not. So I've asked for a new route at work, and they put me on a new one. I'm not thrilled about being back in downtown because I don't like being downtown. It's too crowded. I hate it, in fact. But it is way shorter. I'm now working about 8 to 9 hour shifts. So I'm going to be able to actually be on top of doing this channel again. So here on the weekdays, I plan on just having the entire streams be dedicated to uh, being dedicated to Red Squirrel, smoking beers, and little other comic projects that I'm up to at the time. Plague Rook. So what's up with Red Squirrel's cousin? Why is she evil? Why is Gray Squirrel evil? That's a great segue into actually the importance of the comic. So the ultimate story of the comic is that this is a broken family. The fantastic fox squirrel, Red Squirrel's father, died right after she got her powers. So this man that Red Squirrel idolized, looked up to, idolized and looked up to, wanted to be like him. I want to be a hero. I want to be daddy's sidekick. He's gone. He's out of the picture. And the way he died makes him look like a villain. Whether or not he actually is a villain, it remains to be seen. That's something that the comics are going to play out long over time. Red Squirrel went off to go train, while Gray Squirrel was gone at that time and lost contact with her cousin. Because Gray Squirrel was Fantastic Fox Squirrel's, the Fantastic Fox Squirrel, that was her. Gray Squirrel, I'm getting a little tongue-tied. Gray Squirrel was the Fantastic Fox Squirrel's first sidekick. Gray Squirrel developed her powers over in England. She had no idea why she had these powers. She kind of grew up on the street. Fox Squirrel brought her in when he was doing a mission over in the UK. Said, I see what you are, and I want to pull you out of this dark path. You're coming with me. I'm going to train you to be a hero. Brought her home. She would meet young Red Squirrel before she got her powers. They grow up together, train. But whatever reason, there was a mission that happened where Fox Squirrel and Gray Squirrel had a massive falling out with one another, and Gray Squirrel was gone during his death. Because of this, and because she lost contact with her little cousin, who could really have used her during that harsh moment of life, Gray Squirrel is filled with a great deal of guilt, regret, and specifically anger. She is angry at the people of Maple City, the main setting for the comic, because she feels like they turn their back on one of their greatest heroes. So that is why Gray Squirrel is kind of a villain. We'll see more of what sort of villainy she's up to as the comics progress, especially because Red Squirrel is back in town. So let's move on to the next comic. Play the Pepsi Man game? Maybe. We'll see about that. Why is she called Red Squirrel? Is she communist? No, it's because she has red hair. I'm not joking. It's just that. So the ultimate joke of where the names come from is that why I wanted to do a squirrel themed hero. About 4 to 5 years ago, Marvel kicked around the idea of licensing out their IPs. And the whole thought was, oh no, Marvel's about to be under, Disney's going to sell them, it's going to be done, it's going to be over. And I made the joke that I was going to buy Squirrel Girl, the unbeatable Squirrel Girl. And it's like, I'm going to make her this hardcore, conservative patriot. and like make her everything that the HJWs at that time hate, because I was really big on that anti-woke train at that time. Because they had taken Squirrel Girl and made her this plump, inactive. She's always was a joke character, but they really like played it up. It became ridiculous, and she really wasn't focused on fighting crime. As more as like other crazy BS. So I was like, I'm going to make her this uber patriot. I'm going to make her this true red, white, and blue. I bleed red, white, and blue. All American hero. I'm going to make her thin and attractive. I'm going to do all these sort of things. And when it eventually became obvious that Marvel wasn't going anywhere anytime soon, I kind of kept the idea and played around with it for a little while. There was a moment in time where Red Squirrel was like almost like revolutionary themed. And it's like, Eerie luckily decided, nah, that's kind of dumb, and made the current design and the finalized design that you see here today. So that's the story of why she's Red Squirrel. The Fantastic Fox Squirrel is a great name for our father. Yes, it is. I am a little worried that it might be a little too close to the Fantastic Mr. Fox. I think I'm skirting it away because it's not even a fox. Space Junk, as for the Pepsi Man game, I've thought about playing it myself. PS1 games are my favorite aesthetic. Hello, sweetheart. I hope you're doing well. Don't you tell my audience to stay on subject. You stay on subject. Space Junk, what are the powers of a squirrel person? So Red Squirrel's power base is essentially she's a super athlete. She can jump. Jumping is the big thing. She can super jump. jump high, jump far. She's faster than a normal person. She's able to take a fall a lot better, because if you actually, and this is fun because I was doing all sorts of study on what exactly squirrels can do. Apparently, squirrels are built in a way where they can survive their own terminal velocity. I think it might be a little ridiculous, but it's a superhero comic. I think people are going to be fine. So it's going to be a lot of fun just to have her thrown off of things and into things consistently, and her just get back up like it didn't even phase her. But yeah, so another thing that Red Squirrel has, and I don't really talk about her much, is that she inherits some of her mother's powers as well. Specifically a healing factor. That's pretty much all she's got from her mom. So it's just my hand wave way of like, how is she like almost broke her arm in one comic, and then the next comic she's absolutely fine. It's just my little hand wave. It's like I heal fast. Not like to the levels of Deadpool or Wolverine, but that superhero charge. It's kind of like what makes her stand out from just the average person. I don't know if you mentioned it, but GB squirrels are usually gray in US. Actually, no, it is the other way around, sweetheart. Is Squirrel Girl still drawn like she has Down syndrome? I think so. I don't even know if they still do her comics on a regular basis. Plague Rook, who trained her Red Squirrel after her father died? Well, that's a great question. So this is a holdover from her Uber Patriot ideas that are... I mean, it really was not a great idea. I had her running around with a saber at one point. Like she was going to be a cavalier in the army. It was not a great idea. And I'm glad we're stepped away from that for more classic superhero-esque. But I'm keeping this idea because it's, quite frankly, the Red Squirrel comics are going to be a little goofy. Because I'm really pulling heavy from Silver Age style storytelling, where it just... sometimes they're just plain downright silly. These are like the leaps of logic and the leaps of logic and course of action said like, that don't make no sense. Why are we running around with a giant robot? It's so silly, but yeah, but it's awesome. We want to see the superhero fight a giant robot and aliens from space. Sometimes, and the superheroes drive a car that looks like them. So who trained Red Squirrel after her father died? Her trainer and mentor is Teddy Roosevelt. He is a robotic android with the personality of Theodore Roosevelt, the most American who could ever have American. It's meant to be silly. This is a holdover when her base was actually going to be based in Mount Rushmore at one point. And specifically in the head of Theodore Roosevelt. And she was going to be part of a gang of superheroes, a superhero team that was all themed around the presidents. I think I'm going to keep some of those ideas, maybe not all of them. I just love the I love the name Theodore Roosevelt. So he's going to show up eventually. He gets mentioned, like she's going to say it, like it's like no idea, like no cares about how silly that idea is. Gray squirrel is not native to UK and is currently driving out native red squirrels from their habitats. Yes, I am very much aware about that. That is a mistake I made very early on, but you know what? I'm keeping this as it is. Red squirrel is American, gray squirrel is British. When I initially found out it was the other way around, because I thought gray squirrels were from the UK and red squirrels were native to America. I didn't realize it was the other way around. And so when I heard that, it's like maybe gray squirrel is in what is it? A Anglophobe. Not Anglophobe, Anglophile. But then it's not, nah, just go all the way, make her British. Yeah, no, 0 fall damage, nice glitch. Yeah, pretty much. Gray squirrels are not even fun to hunt like invasive pythons and geckos in the Everglades. All right. Also inspiring a lot of our recent cartoon views. Lots of goofy stuff and weird stuff that comes through my husband's head. Yes, definitely Powerpuff Girls is a huge inspiration on Red Squirrel, including a lot of those girl power cartoons that I grew up with. My Life Teenage Robot, Kim Possible, Atomic Betty, if anybody remembers that one. There's something about those action styles where they were trying to appease to girls. Back then, they were done well, unlike today, where they're just lame. Like they forgot the idea of like this classic girl power. And it's like we can do anything the guys can do without like going, oh, the guys are dumb. Boys are stupid. And it's like, no, we want the boys watching too, because money. It's like the girls are going to kick butt and look good doing it. That's the idea. Robot Teddy Roosevelt? Yeah, the robotic Teddy Roosevelt. It's going to be great. A lot of redheads too. Yep, every action girl is like a redhead for some reason. I love it. What are you up to, kitty? Are you opening up drawers again to climb in there? My cat is trying to make a mess in the background. Hold on. Shoot. Stop that. Don't be climbing into things. Jim Hawkins from Treasure Planet is an inspiration for one of my original characters. I like that movie so much. It is a very good movie. Oddly, it's one of the best adaptations of Treasure Island I think I've ever seen. And it's weird because it's a sci-fi space movie based in Redhead Peeled. Yep. So, with that out of the way, let's get into actually making the character Bible. So we're going to make an all-American Red Squirrel character list in Bibles. Besides Muppet Treasure Island, okay, maybe that one's the top and above it. But you know what? Second best. So, what you doing, kitty? Hiding underneath my legs. All right, number 1, Red Squirrel. Make your font visible, okay? Fine, I'll write it in red. I'll make it slightly larger. There, how's that, sweetheart? No Netflix adaptation. Oh, yeah. So the importance of the character Bible is to keep certain tracks of the character online. So it is a brief overview of the character, what they stand for, how they behave. So with Red Squirrel, you need to post this in the Dr. Alpha's Hideout OC submission channel. I've posted Red and Gray Squirrel in the OC submission before. They had been on the stream. As a matter of fact, Erie was even on the stream that was being shown off on. So the first thing that we really need to know about All-American Red Squirrel, especially when it comes to the character, is that she enjoys being a superhero. Hold on. For some reason it's not wanting to carry the color text on. She enjoys being a superhero. We have to make sure that the biggest thing I told Erie was that I want her to be friendly looking. I want her to be approachable. Not like necessarily scary. She's not a big creature of the night sort of deal. She's very outgoing and very in your face. So she's boisterous. We also have her. We have her as I like her making these quips and jokes and gags. So she's quick-witted. And she's also, when it comes to her fighting style, I want to make sure that she isn't just like always like up in your face trying to box you. She's kind of small. She's not a very big hero, and she knows if she's going to try to go toe-to-toe with someone twice her size, superhero or not, she's probably going to lose that fight. So her fighting style, she needs to fight like a squirrel. So lots of jumping, dodging, acrobatics, swinging, fights. F-I-G-H-T, like a squirrel. Swinging, jumping, swing, jumping, duck, dodge. Dodge. She uses her small size to her advantage when she can. Size in environment to her advantage. I also, why does the font keep changing out? Can she store nuts in her cheeks and shoot them out like a machine gun? Oh my god, I wish I came up with that because I have a different thing I'm having her do. But that's awesome. I love that idea. But no, she's not a machine gun. So is Red a mutant or something? That is a good question. So I think if I ever actually get into the origin of where their power line comes from, the idea is that in the world, people sometimes just spontaneously obtain powers. Usually, it's like getting a power is like a one in a like what some hundred thousandths of a chance. Not everybody's going to get it, but it's not so uncommon that it's unheard of. I guess it would be the equivalent of being a mutant. However, I don't want to go into the whole line of mutants like the X-Men do. And this is kind of like one of the problems I have with Marvel is that, and this is it has nothing to do with like its current direction. It's just how does the average person tell the difference between a mutant and a normal superpowered person? Like, what exactly? I guess in some cases it doesn't matter. The Thing is still treated like a mutant. The Hulk is absolutely treated like a mutant. But how come Spider-Man isn't treated like a mutant by anybody else outside of like a couple of handful of people and J. Jonah Jameson? I mean, like everything he does should qualify him for a mutant. How come Tony Stark isn't treated like a super intelligent mutant? Like, what exactly makes the difference? How would a normal person even be able to tell the difference? It's just something that bothers me. I'm sure there's an answer. No, how satisfying it is doesn't. It kind of depends on what that answer is, I suppose. It's probably just something I'm not privy to. Squirrels have very flexible cheeks, so they can store things there. Squirrel Girl needs this power. Now, remember, my character is not Squirrel Girl. My character is the all-American Red Squirrel. Red Squirrel. We want to make sure we make that difference. I don't know what power source actual Squirrel Girl has in the Marvel comics. I think the joke is that she's unbeatable, and that's why she's a gag character. Yeah. But we're on the topic of nuts. I do need to make sure I have her weaknesses down. So Red Squirrel has three major weaknesses. Uh, two of them are psychological, and one of them is a physical weakness. So the first obvious weakness is that she can barely stand her father being drugged through the mud. Her father. Yeah, that should probably make it a little bit better to see. Yeah, that probably helps out a lot better. Be grateful is not the ultimate universe where mutants are treated way worse there than the main universe. Yeah, from what I remember, the ultimate universe, it's edgy, unneeded. It's unneedlessly edgy at times. The Marvel Connected Universe makes zero sense. It would be far better if the heroes stayed separate, X-Men belonging in the X world and Spider-Man in the Spider world. Yeah, it does not mix well, especially seeing how many of them are just based in New York. It's like, why is it the Fantastic Four in every Spider-Man issue helping them out with some, like, especially like the bigger issues? Like here's a good example: the recent 2018 Spider-Man game. Spoiler warning for that game: Doctor Octopus releases a man-made plague on Manhattan, but Based in Manhattan are both the Fantastic Four Tower and Avengers Tower, and as well as Hell's Kitchen. So why isn't Daredevil, the Avengers, and the Fantastic Four all like, oh well, this is now just gone from just like a minor bank robbery terrorist threat with to an actual big citywide issue. We need to step in and do something. Why hasn't they stepped in? The obvious answer is it's because it's a Spider-Man game and not a Fantastic Four or Avengers game. But it just creates issues. It's one thing when it's just like one small gang and Spider-Man's up against them. It becomes a but when it escalates past that to a citywide threat, it's like okay, it's time for the big boys to kind of start stepping in a bit. It's better when it was treated as here's a Spider-Man comic featuring Thor because the Thor villain is around and teamed up with a Spider-Man villain and now they're wreaking havoc. It's not as great as when like here's Thor when it's Spider-Man guest starring in his comic because Spider-Man shouldn't stand a chance against gods. Like the big team up things being connected like that have kind of run their course a bit. Like there's no reason Gotham should still be the way it is with a world with Superman in it as well. You think that Superman's like, okay, Metropolis can handle itself for a couple of days. Let's go help Batman clean out crime. Let's go give Batman a day off. Batman doesn't have to stop fighting crime. Batman never will stop fighting crime, even if Gotham is all cleaned out. He will move on to the next city. The Justice League shows that. There just gets to a point of a little bit of absurdity. So Red Squirrel Girl, please stop that, Space Junk. That could cause copyright issues if somebody can actually use that as a base for brand confusion. I get the joke and I understand you're joking, but there are mean and hateful people out there who will take your joke and run with it as actual proof. Is she a descendant of the Great Squirrel God? That was an idea at one point that she was a descendant of somebody who stole an acorn from the Isildur and gained the powers of Radagast. And through the lines, the powers have been diluted to where it's now just basic peak human performance. These are kind of the ideas that I was thinking. And at this point, nah, she just has scroll powers. And that's all I'm really doing. If I feel like I need to explain where her powers come from later on, I will. I'll have plenty, but I have plenty of comic ideas where I don't need to do that. So where were we? Weakness is wholly devoted to her father. She can't stand listening to people just talk down about her dad. That's going to be a big issue with her throughout the whole run. Is she takes a hard stance of my father was innocent. He did not die a villainous death. He wasn't a villain. There's something about the situation we don't know. And she takes that stance hard. And maybe here in a little bit I'll get into how he died. But let's move on to the second weakness. Weakness number 2. So weakness number 2 is that she has a fear of dogs. I kind of explained this as that all the squirrels have this fear, they have a canine phobia. I think that's what it's actually called. Katie, you are in a very inconvenient spot. I can't put my foot down there. So all the squirrels will have this weakness of canine phobia. They just have this unreasonable fear of dogs. Unreasonable. Ultimately, the joke is that she's a squirrel and squirrels get chased by dogs. And that's the gag. I thought it would be cool, especially because I have villains planned. I have a villain plan that runs with dogs, kind of like almost like a wolf. A raised by wolves sort of situation. So that would be a fun way for that character to exploit this weakness on her, and it gives her something that she has to fight through and against. And as for her last big weakness, why did it censor squirrel? Why did she censor squirrel? That's where squirrel fear cats. No, not as much. Because I wanted her to be able to rescue the kitty from the tree. So it's not so much a fear of cats. Yes, it is a fear of dogs. But the last weakness, and this is literally just for the gag, and the joke will be immediate. It's she is allergic to tree nuts. So obvious gag is obvious. What sort of squirrel is allergic to tree nuts? What type of squirrel can't have nuts? It's ridiculous. It's silly. It's funny, but it provides a good physical weakness to be exploited on her. Because I don't want it to just be like mind games on her all the time. I want it to be actually something she can't just get over. Kitty, you're getting even more unreasonable with your placement. I apologize, chat. My cat is right under my desk and at my feet, so I can't actually shuffle my feet around because she keeps grabbing them. Cat, please. Please, I want to be able to move my foot to a more comfortable position. It's not for you to chew on. Fine, be that way. Is one of her villains a dog? Kind of, maybe. I'm not sure. That villain is not going to show up anytime soon. I'm censoring it so Marvel won't think I'm referencing their Mega Mammoth IP Squirrel Girl. Hey, they were going to make a Marvel show about her at one point. I don't know how important of an IP it is. Probably not. All right, Space Junk. Never change. You're awesome. You're a silly man, but I like you all the same. So an allergy to tree nuts gives her something physically that she has to go through. I guess the last thing we need to put on about her personality is she's filled with determination. No, I want her to be almost stubborn when it comes to a fight. She's like, I'm going to come in and I'm going to win this fight no matter what happens. And it's going to lead to her constantly pushing herself past her point. So like she'll come in, she'll face down that. We have a villain named Brutus, and he's a big mammoth, massive dude. You know, your typical big bruiser. Red Squirrel cannot win a fight against this guy one-on-one. At least not fair. So she's going to go up at him, and then she's going to like do a thing. Like she'll run up to him, throw a punch into his stomach. He'll barely give a grunt before he just gives her a thrashing. Brutus actually shows up in the first issue, and it results in because up to the point that Brutus joins the fight, Red Squirrel's doing really well against the normal thugs. Brutus comes in, just gives her one good punch, and just sends her flying across the room. So it's whack, thwack, bam, bam, pow. Red Squirrel's just gonna. She needs to come up with something, a new strategy, or she's gonna lose this fight. But she's not going to give up. She just does not give up. So these things are kind of like the basis of her character. Uh, there's one point in the comic where we have her kind of forget. I was thinking of having her actually just not have a secret identity for a while. And then I thought, what if I just make that an actual story? Is that she has spent so much time as Red Squirrel, she's kind of slowly forgetting that she has a double life. Like this has become her whole life, almost like a workaholic sort of situation. She's so fully developed into trying to live up to her father's um legacy. She's so devoted into living up to her father's legacy. She's kind of not doing anything that would be unique to her. Outside of like some of the villains she fights, like everything is so devoted around to being a superhero, it's actually caused a great deal of unhealthy behavior. I thought about that for a while. I'm still thinking about like how to actually execute that in a way that isn't like, hey, you shouldn't work, period. Instead of, hey, maybe you're working too hard, you need a day to, stop and rest. Take a nap. When's the last time you actually ate food? It's just like I haven't eaten in like 3 days. There's just been too much crime to stop. So that's Red Squirrel. Probably should just put in her actual her actual name. So there we go. Riley O'Ryan. And that's not right. There we go. Hey, at least your female pre-adult squirrel person, not Marvel IP, is your original character. My characters are all Pokemon. I changed that anymore. Hello. Hey, your Pokemon drawings are just absolutely beautiful. Space Junk. You draw whatever you feel like makes you happy, all right? If that's making those Pokemon Adventure characters, you go right on ahead. At least it isn't just you draw the Pokemon and then put a scarf on them and then voila, here's a mystery dungeon character. No, you actually put like effort into like how the fur designs. Put some effort into like how the fur designs, what little differences there are in each one of them. Are you having a good time down there, kitty? Is my foot tasty or something? Silly kitty. Fuzzy. Don't you push away my foot like you're supposed to be down there. Why are you even down there? You never just sit around behind under the desk. He's usually up in my lap. You have a perfectly good chair that's all yours right here to sleep in. Cats. All right. So that's basically the basic rundown of Red Squirrel right there. So let's get on to Gray Squirrel. So Gray Squirrel. Putting bandanas on Pokemon is just step one, but it is the most essential step. It really is. It is the most important one. So here we got Gray Squirrel. And this is Elizabeth O'Neill. So Elizabeth O'Neill, Gray Squirrel. stupid Google Docs doesn't want to work with me. Hold on. There we go. All right, so we got gray squirrels. So gray squirrels is big. So gray squirrel is the thing that sets her off more from red squirrel is that gray squirrel is a gadgeteer. She heavy use of gadgets. She's always making these things like she uses smoke bombs, pellets, grapple guns. She's got a stun baton. All the just like she Batman set up. That's what she's going to do. She's got all the cool equipment that Batman has and guns. Because I kind of want her to have this 60s spy feel, kind of like a James Bond. So she's British intelligence. She's got the license to kill. She's got this cool swoo facade. Very much, like I said, she's a spy. So she's cool. Not cool. So calm, collected, and calculated. So she very much kind of like examines the situation, sets her plan of attack. Can you perhaps write down some kind of character demo, like a small note or text with decisions the squirrels will make in some situation and why? All right, that sounds like fun. How about this? You give me a situation. You give me a situation to put the squirrels through, and I will write down the example of how they would handle it and why they would do what they do. That's actually a great idea, Space Junk. So gray squirrel, calm, collected, calculated. I really have debated whether or not to make her a killer, because I don't necessarily want her to be the hardcore "I'm the evil you" joke. That's what she originally started off is I'm the evil twin. This is back when Red Squirrel had a way more patriotic thing. So of course the evil twin for an American themed superhero had to be British. Then that's just law at that point, right? Besides, all the best villains have a British accent. So calm, cool, collected. We got I probably should need to put does not give up no matter how badly hurt. There we go. Calm, cool, collected, calculated. She is very operates in the shadows sort of deal. And using espionage. Using espionage instead of using espionage instead of frontal assaults. So Red Squirrel would be the hammer. She's more the scalpel. Right, so she. All right, Red Squirrel is in a situation where she has to decide between getting a CD with evidence that redeems her father and catching a bad criminal. Which does she choose? Ooh. Oh, that's a good situation. I'm going to have to copy that one down. All right. Start with this. Q. In a situation where she has to decide between getting a CD with evidence that redeems her father or catching a bad criminal. Which does she choose and why? So there we go. Expand a little bit on the question, make it a little bit better. So the answer for Red Squirrel is she would go after the criminal. She would hate it. She would be very upset, but she knows that stopping the criminal is far more important than proving her father's innocence. She'll have another chance, hopefully. Red Squirrel would stop the criminal first. Stopping the bad heroic sacrifice, very noble. Yes. Stopping the bad guy is far more important than proving her father's innocent. Than proving her father's innocence. She would not be happy her choice. No, she made the right one. I like that. That's a good question. Because a lot of what Red Squirrel motivates her, she does the right thing because it's the right thing to do. I want to make those types of heroes again. But yes, she's motivated because her father did it. Yes, she wants to be just like him. Yes, she wants to prove that he was innocent. And by doing that, either through her own actions as being a hero or actually like finding the evidence. But at the end of the day, she wants to be like him because her father did good because it was the right thing to do. And so that's how she will operate as well. It's the right thing to do. It's not because I necessarily even want to do it. Well, she wants to do it. Because I'm also tired of these heroes who don't want to be hero. Like she doesn't feel the weight of the world on her shoulders. She loves being a hero. She loves being a superhero. She's got that adrenaline junkie in her. But she also knows it's the right thing to do. I have the gifts, I have the powers, I have the capability, I have the know-how. I can do this. I should do this. Because if I don't, who else will? Uh, so let's go on with Gray Squirrel here. She's got her weaknesses. Still has a. She's devoted to her uncle. Innocence, no matter the cost. So she's willing to go, like, she's going to prove his innocence no matter the cost. So this Red Squirrel's going to be the glowing light of, I'm going to be a good person, and by doing that, I prove that my father was a good person. Whereas Gray Squirrel's going to be like, no, I'm going to extort the information out of you if I need to. A weakness to fear dogs. I don't want to give Gray Squirrel the allergy. I think this is a lot better for her right here. Red Squirrel is confronted by her best friend who accuses her of growing distance, of losing herself in her hero persona. How does she react? That's a good question. Let's see how we go. So, Red Squirrel is confronted by her best friend who accuses her of growing distant and of losing herself in her persona. How does she react? The answer is, honestly, Red Squirrel would be okay with it. She would view it as a noble sacrifice. She would view it as a necessary sacrifice. She would view it as a necessary sacrifice until proven she is pushing herself too far. Unless she is proven she's pushing herself too far, and this is not what her father would have wanted for her. That is honestly how she would react. She would be like, I'm okay with that. And that would probably lead to maybe like a hero versus hero showdown where her mentor has to come. Oh, sorry, Kitty. Her mentor would have to come and give her the good old 1-2. You sit here now and you're going to listen to me beat down. All right. So, what is Gray Squirrel's core wound that makes her villainous instead of noble? So, let's write this one down. Core wound. Core wound. Gray Squirrel's core wound. Want to make sure I spelled the right gray. Hold on, I am spelling the right gray, right? Okay, so AY is American English. It needs to be EY because that's actually important. So Gray Squirrel's core wound is guilt. So this is actually going to be a thing with both of them, is that they both feel guilty about not being there for Fox Squirrel when he needed them. The only one who really has an actual good reason for that guilt is Gray Squirrel. Red Squirrel had only just gotten her powers. If she was there with him on that day, she probably would have died. But Gray Squirrel probably would have been able to stand her own. I've been psychic with him for a couple of years now. I've been on this for a little bit. I would have probably have helped. He might have survived. Might not have. Who knows? She feels like she she feels like she should have been there for Fantastic Fox Squirrel. For the Fantastic Fox Squirrel. Fox Squirrel and could have saved his life. She is now to prove he was innocent. The cost of everything. So let's core wound for Red Squirrel. Core wound for Red Squirrel is the loss of her father. She had only just gotten her powers on the day Fantastic Fox Squirrel died. She is now motivated to live up to his legacy and keep and by her actions prove he wasn't a villain. All right. So Red Squirrel has issues maintaining personal connections and relationships. Interesting. Yeah, that's going to be a big deal for Red Squirrel. Just, the idea is she's a superhero 24/7. She's got the tail and the ears. She can hide the ears, but she can't really hide the tail. So it never turns off for her. She's going to be like this all the time. She doesn't get the benefit of having a secret identity, even though she's got the mask. It's a joke me and Erie had thought of. It's like, what if she just plays it straight? Like, she takes off the mask and therefore nobody can recognize her, like Perry the Platypus. So what happened to the father to make him fall from grace? So here is the event. So when Red Squirrel was about 14, about 10 years before the start of our story, when Red Squirrel's coming back to Maple City, the Fantastic Fox Squirrel and the Grand British Grey Squirrel went off on a mission to Niagara Falls to handle this giant beaver dam that appeared on the falls. Whatever was going on with this dam, it was rebuffing the more, to say, capable powerhouses available. So, like, I have a Superman-esque hero called Cardinal the Virtue, and he's your typical Paragon. He's the Paragon type. The flying, the super strength. I'm not going to give him the laser eye beam, so like the wind breath or anything like that. But he's your typical man in tights, here to save the day, flying through the sky. And whatever was going on with this thing, it was obviously magical and rebuffing him. The sorcerers that were available at the time weren't able to pierce it. There's also a great deal of log zombies storming the nearby towns and cities around Niagara Falls, so they were constantly being pulled away from that. So, because they are squirrels and used to dealing with wooded terrain, Fox Squirrel and Gray Squirrel decided to sent in to infiltrate that and try to destroy it. What exactly happens inside the dam is not sure. It's not certain. The only two people who know that are Fox Squirrel and Gray Squirrel, and Gray is being tight-lipped about it. But it causes this massive falling out between Gray and Fox Squirrel after they are successful. All that is known is that they face some sort of great evil inside. One of the most dangerous and evil creatures that they could possibly have ever faced. Something way out of their caliber to really have been handling. But they were successful nonetheless, because that's what heroes do. After this fight, Gray Squirrel returns back to England. I think the joke I have on file is that I'm going to go back to London. They need a hero anyway, and nobody else wants the job, apparently. So she goes away, and that's what causes her not to be around when Fox Squirrel needed her most. Whatever was inside the dam caused Fox Squirrel to turn against his agency. Now, all around the world, there are these charitable funds and groups of interest that basically fund superheroes. They provide them with what they need. They provide them with food, equipment, shelter, healthcare. And the idea is that they will provide this to them so they don't have to resort to being vigilantes or unnecessary strain on secret identities. Whatever was in this dam or whatever they saw inside, for some reason set Fox Squirrel against his agency. He had broken into the agency, was caught, and what proceeded was a 20-floor brawl of him versus every available hero within the agency building as he tries to make his escape 20 floors down. He almost succeeds in getting out of the building, but is killed in the middle of the fight by his friend and ally, his friend Cardinal Legacy. Now, to add on to all of this, Fox Squirrel did not start his career as a hero. Fox Squirrel very much was, when his powers came, when he gained his powers, he was very much a selfish thug because he was only 15. So we got this moody teenager who suddenly gets, quite frankly, a goofy power. And he just turns to crime because, well, he's a selfish, bratty thug. And he gets into fights with Cardinal Legacy, and they have this back and forth for like the first 5 years of his career. Eventually, he kind of mellows out, serves his time, turns to trying to be a good guy. Because Cardinal Legacy is a bro chat, and it's like, hey, man, you're better than this. You could be doing something good. All you've done is like petty jewelry thefts, and like you haven't even robbed a bank. You haven't really done all that much. Nothing that you can't work off. Nothing that you can't turn your life around from. And so Foxworld really tries. He really works hard for the rest of his life to abandon that old I'm just was a stupid thuggish kid. All right, I was young and naive and stupid. Now I'm an adult and I'm trying to be an adult. And he would go through, he would meet his wife, they would have their daughter. The wife is the wife is killed in another fight with a villain I'm calling plot hole right now. And the whole thing is that he creates gaps in realities. So she and a number of other heroes were sucked into this gap in reality, and that's pretty much the end of her. So Fox Squirrel is now a single dad trying to raise a daughter, still shaking off a little bit of stigmatism of you were once a criminal, always a criminal. Even though at this point, he's spent like the last 20 years of his life. The wife is a squirrel. No. We're not even going near that. So he spent like the last 20 years of his career just trying to live a better life, and he's done it mostly. He's done it. He's been a good guy, and he's raising his daughter to not make the same mistakes. He saw Gray Squirrel kind of going down the same path he did when he found her, decided to pull her in to straighten her life out. So she's just not alone, because that was a big thing. He was just alone. It's typical gang mentality. He didn't really have anybody to turn to. No parents who really loved him. Nothing. No good support group. Just this. A bad environment spawns bad people. And if he had a better environment, he might have been a better person. Luckily, he was able to meet and find Cardinal Legacy as his hero, who didn't just off him or, was like, you'll never be a good guy. He's like, no, you can turn your life around. So, like, it's supposed to be a redemption story gone wrong. So now we got Red Squirrel, his daughter, trying to go, I know my dad was a hero. He had put all of that like childish in all that goofiness in his childishness behind him long before he even married my mother. So this doesn't make any sense. Why would he just suddenly have a heel turn now? And most people, if they looked at it properly, they don't, but it's obvious propaganda machine has been running that has confused the whole situation. So she's trying to prove this otherwise against what is a good organization, the agency of independent heroes in of independent mask and capes was the idea. I'm just calling it the agency for short. I'll come up with a better acronym as they become more important to the story. So they're not this great evil organization. So what exactly happened, we don't know. This is the information that everybody knows. This is the public information. So what is true, what is false, we'll just have to find out as the stories progress. Let's see here. So just like Steve Rogers is more about style than secret identity, yeah. The mask gives her a plus 12 armor. All non-essential bullets fired at her will conveniently hit and bounce off the mask. Yep, they always conveniently miss unless the plot demands it. So that is basically the story of Fox Squirrel. That's his importance to the story, what's actually setting all this off. All right. We're going to move you to a different page so everybody kind of gets their own page. So do we have any situation questions for Gray Squirrel? We had 2 for Red Squirrel up here. So that way we can, you guys can see how she would react in the situation that you put her in. If not, I will probably move on to secondary characters here. We'll go for maybe about another 30 minutes. Guess it gives me a good chance to talk about like other supporting cast members that we got. So I've mentioned them before. Actually, I didn't notice the time. I know too little about Gray Squirrel to ask such questions. Huh. All right. Well. Hmm. Well, what more do we need to know about Gray Squirrel then? Before I even move on to other characters. So I've been talking a lot about Red Squirrel, I suppose. So Gray Squirrel, she grew up on the streets of London. Oh, now this is the question. Will Gray prioritize Red's well-being over redeeming her uncle? Now that's the question, isn't it? So at what point do the costs become too great? When does she cross the line from being an anti-hero to being a villain? Honestly, the answer is yes. The answer would be yes. Um, so will Gray Squirrel prioritize Red's well-being over redeeming her uncle? The answer is yes. Oh, wait. Actually, I'm going to have to change the answer on that. I've misread the answer. No, she would not. No, Red Squirrel's health and safety is not above this. No. Gray will use Red Squirrel to achieve her goals. She will use Red Squirrel to achieve her goals. She won't throw her to the line. She's not going to throw her into a line of fire. Throw her into a situation. She's not going to throw her into a situation she doesn't believe Red can get out of. Can get out of. So she won't throw her into a situation she doesn't believe Red can get out of. But she's also going. But this process is going to steadily build over and over and over. Over time. Would steadily build over time. Gray would throw Red under the bus? Absolutely. Steadily. No. There we go. Steadily. I was forgetting the guy. So Gray absolutely would throw Red under the bus. Gray feels like the people of Maple City have completely turned their backs on Fox Squirrel. And she is convinced they will do the same to Red Squirrel. And she has reason to believe so. The people of Maple City will not like Red Squirrel. At least not all of them. They will see her as this upstart this little upstart adrenaline jockey, adrenaline junkie who is here to cause really more problems than she has to solve. She fights off the villain, she does, but the collateral damage Red Squirrel will have, because Red Squirrel, like I said, Red Squirrel will oftentimes be up against threats she cannot face one on one. So she's going to fight dirty. She's going to pick up that manhole cover and chuck it at the guy if she believes that's what she needs to do to win the fight. Property damage is not really a high priority in saving. She's not going to sacrifice civilian lives. She's not going to hold hostage. She's a hero, but she's kind of destructive in her pursuit of justice. So she kind of gets a lot of the blame for what villains did. Like in the first comic, there's going to be a scene where Red Squirrel, she's fighting a bank robbery. And the robbers have set up explosives on the bank safe, on the safe door to blow it. Red Squirrel is actually going to be the one who blows the safe door, and it's only in the good of stopping the thugs. But in the next issue, that's going to get twisted against her as well. You kind of helped them rob the bank. So she's like, I was trying to stop them. It was a good idea in that moment, yeah, but it wasn't a good idea when they eventually turned that on you and got away with some of the money. All right. So when Gray learned that Red Squirrel caught a criminal instead of saving the CD with the evidence, she would be outraged and even resent her. She would definitely be angry at Red Squirrel. It says it would have been a situation where she believes Red Squirrel should have gotten the CD. She can catch the criminal another day. Or even better yet, Gray could have gotten the criminal afterwards. Because a lot of what Gray's going to do in the early comics is just kind of come around behind Red Squirrel and clean up some of the mess. A lot of the early comics are going to be focused on more introducing Red Squirrel's rogue gallery. And how they interact with Red, and how Gray is kind of acting in the shadows to help her. The idea is that I want everybody to kind of like if I do this correctly, and I'm not saying that I'm going to, I'm really going to try. People should like Gray Squirrel over the comics because she's helping out the character. She's helping out the main character. But it is obvious it's slowly building up to the confrontation between the two of them. Eventually, push is going to come to shove, and the two of them are going to need to sit down and try to work out their differences, or else it's going to end badly for the whole city. Kenneth Bird, good to see you. Hi to everyone that is here tonight. It's good to see you. Good to see you. We also probably should need to make another mention. Weakness. She's addicted to smoking. Because, we got to have that symbol to the audience that this is a self-destructive character. Eventually, Gray Squirrel's actions are going to come back and bite her. It's either going to, physically harm her in some way. It's going to ruin everything she's been trying to do. Or it's going to ruin her relationship with Red Squirrel. And that's probably the most likely outcome. Some of this stuff I'm still writing, but I got a lot of the basic outlines of this stuff planned. And I'll get a little bit more into some of the side characters. I think for now, we're going to be done with the character Bibles. And I would just like to have a quick rundown on some of the some of the like a rogues gallery that we'll be seeing. Because what's a hero if they don't have a bad guy to fight? Your channel. Good to see you. Welcome to the channel, Ira. I guess it's actually your Chan L. This is the proper pronunciation of that. Will the bad guys use the addiction against her? Probably not. That's probably should just take that off as a weakness and more as a character trait. Should just have that as a character trait. Blue Teddy Narrations, yo, good to see you. Good to see you. Like I was just saying, we'll probably have like a quick rundown of. It's not so much going to be like as deep as it is about Red Squirrel and Gray Squirrel as the rest of this channel. We'll definitely have a more dedicated stream to the villains. I just kind of want to give you a brief rundown of kind of what I'm planning for them to fight. So in issue 1, we have Handsome Henry and his thugs for hire. So we got Handsome Henry and his thugs for hire. These are going to be the big guys. Kenneth Bird, I like to see everyone press the like button, please, tonight. I would love that too. As a matter of fact, press the like button, subscribe, share, all the stuff. Do everything. Click all the buttons. I think this is the tag phrase we're going to use. Click all the buttons. So Handsome Henry and his thugs for hire. It's going to be a group of, I think we got 6 of them, led by this thug, this, your mobster type guy called Handsome Henry. And the design Erie came up with him is pretty cool. I'll see if I can try to find it. If I have a quick and easy access to a file on that. But I just like the idea of having this group of thugs that Red Squirrel fights at the very beginning, and slowly over time, they're getting better and better at fighting. Here we go. Yeah, let's share this screen. I want to show off this file. So this is going to be Handsome Henry, at least him in mask form. We do have a him in a non-mask here. So this is going to be the first villain. And he's going to be leading his group of thugs in essentially a very simple start, a bank robbery. Superheroes got to stop a bank robbery. Very classic stuff. I wanted to tell a lot of those classic style superhero scenarios. Because I feel like those are important. Hold on, I gotta sneeze. Why does he wear a mask if he's so handsome? Well, he's got to protect the handsome face, obviously. Also because the mask is really freaking cool. I really like the skull mask that Erie came up for this character. So as the comics progress, Handsome Henry and his thugs are going to slowly get better and better at fighting Red Squirrel. And eventually, when they become more aware of Gray Squirrel's involvement, they're going to try to train to get better at her. So they're this constantly scaling threat. And so we got Handsome Henry, who's the guy who's leading. We got an explosion expert. We got a guy with knives. We got the smart girl, and we got the young rookie. And those are going to be the guys that Henry runs around with. He's also going to have the help of a thug named Brutus. We don't have a design for Brutus yet, but he's going to be this great big hulk of a guy. You know, your big thug. The bronze over brain type. And how I have it written in the script right now is that he's big enough where Red Squirrel is able to perch on his arm and he doesn't feel it. So he's a big dude, great big hulking guy. And he's going to give Red Squirrel the most trouble in the first comic. And where I progress from there, I want to deal with a villain that is dealing with some of the bad choices that Red Squirrel's father made very early on. So what I have planned is this villain from Mexico. She's got this innate power to control pyrotechnics. So we got in Senorita so she wants revenge on specifically the people who got her father killed. So she's hunting down the last few members of this cartel who had basically roped her father into making explosives for them. And Fox Squirrel, very early in his hero portion of his career, kind of broke this cartel up, and this comic's going to deal with the idea of why do heroes need to have a no-kill rule. And ultimately, Fantastic Fox Squirrel implements his no-kill rule because he accidentally got an innocent man killed. He didn't do it himself, but he was going more vigilante before he went full hero. And he decided, I can't let this happen again. This is going to be guilt that I carry for the rest of my life. And not only was he correct, now his daughter is going to have to deal with the repercussions of this. So as the second generation is now at each other's neck over the mistakes of the father. So that's going to be a fun showdown as Senorita is going to try to kill Red Squirrel to make up because she cannot kill Fox Squirrel because he's already dead. I think I should also make mention that I'm going to implement a rule that once a character is dead, they don't come back. I have no desire to be dealing with this continuity insanity that is, oh, you're dead, but here's the multiverse version of you that's similar, but maybe you got a different voice actor. Or, we brought you back from the dead with the Lazarus pit or a wish or some other craziness. No, I have it set out specifically that death is an unconquerable force in this universe. You cannot come back from it. So after the Senorita, it gets a little murky as I'm walking through a number of what my villains will be. I have a villain called Quizman, who is a compulsive gambler who has set up these soul death traps who he likes to trap heroes into and play his game show of Save the Hostage. It's like this game is called 5D chess with multiverse time travel. Yeah, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. So we got Quizman, who's going to be one of the more goofy villains, but he's also going to be one of the most dangerous because he kind of knows everything. He's got this Riddler vibe going on with him. And he's going to be trapping heroes into his games of death, all for viewership counts on the dark web, as he puts hostages into death situations where the heroes are going to have to work very hard to save them. So this is going to be a constant occurring threat Red Squirrel is going to have to deal with, as this, quite frankly, Saul mixed with Monty Hall. Every cheesy game show host you've ever seen gone murderer. Every cheesy game show host gone murderer. She's going to have to deal with this guy who's constantly shouting out these bad puns in this Technicolor foam set. The imagery of what I have planned with this guy is going to be absolutely brilliant. And he's going to be that guy who he's always going to get away because he's got an escape route planned. He streams it on Twitch, but because he cross-dresses, he won't get banned. No, I'm going to avoid mentioning real-life websites like YouTube and Twitch and Twitter and so on and so forth. I want the comic to age gracefully as it goes. So like no mention of like politics, no mention of pop culture references. Try to avoid it as much as I can. I'm even hesitant to show things like cell phones if I don't need them for the story. I want the comic to have as green of a life as I could possibly give it. As for other villains, I got I need to look at the name of this because it's French. Let's see here. Where is it? I have it written down somewhere. I'll find it eventually. Glacier Vanelli. There we go. How the villains use smartphones, why everyone else uses phone booths and rotary phones. That would be hilarious. So Glacier Vanilla. She's going to be... I'm working heavily on this character because I think this is going to be a fan favorite. She's our ice theme villain. I want her to be like this French artist. The idea is that she uses the medium of ice sculptures for her work. So as I'm working through the character, I'm still trying to see if this sticks. The idea is that she's obsessed with trying to keep things in the now. So it's a very much freezing things as she sees them. And so that's her big motivation, is that everything has to stay the same because capture the beauty of the moment as it is right now through this ice sculpture that may or may not be, somebody frozen inside. Oh, like that insane Space Junk, you have helped me out tremendously. You have no idea. I'm going to have to research everything about that character because that might give me the breakthrough I need for this character. Thank you for that. That's awesome. I forgot all about him. I can't. Oh God, what is his name? Artist from BioShock. Sander Cohen. Yeah, that's that character, Sander Cohen. He's a fucking madman. Who's actually, you don't have to fight him, I don't think, in the first game. Like, you can just completely you once you do his task and take the key from him, you don't have to fight him at all. But yeah, that's kind of almost exactly what we're going for. So we got this French artist who has moved from Paris, France, Paris, to this little, of comparatively small city of Mapleville to try to find that new inspiration because we got this new hero in the area trying to live up to her father's expectations. So this is going to be my newest muse. We will see how this goes. I'm trying to put on a French accent. I haven't even noticed. So that's going to be that character. We got I have the idea of a doctor who's the monster maker. The one that makes the horrific looking things. I'm still debating on what to do for that character, but I like the idea of having a villain that's infatuated with Red Squirrel. There's this song by Jonathan Colton called Skull Crusher Mountain. And it's all about it's a love song that is all about how he loves this woman, but he's way too smart for her. It's real silly. It's real goofy. I love it. And that's kind of the idea of what I'm going for with this one. I made a short comic with David Aragon where Red Squirrel fights a giant gorilla called Girl-rilla. That character is definitely going to make another appearance because that's going to be fun because her, Glacie, and Incinerita will make up the three core members of the first villain organization Red Squirrel will fight called the Sinister Sisterhood. And that's probably where Gray Squirrel will actually take a more direct step into, instead of just helping from the shadows. And I have a bunch of hero ideas, and I got a list of comics and the orders of what they appear in the situations and that each of them goes over, and I got about 50 of these things so far. But it's going to be a very slow progress. We're going to have to take our time thinking about this. I really want to make sure I get this right. So that ultimately leads to the question that I want to know from the audience itself. So this is the big feedback I really need from the audience. Do you want me to release smaller comics more often? Because we're planning on having each issue be about 16 pages. 16 to 22 pages. This will be small enough for us to print at a good cost for the size of the audience that I have. And often enough where ultimately the ideal goal would be about 4 of them a year once we get everything actually rolling. It's going to take a little bit of time. We probably won't reach that until maybe like year 3 or 4. But another option that has been given to me is one 48-page comic that covers 3 chapters. So 3 16-page stories in one book. And kind of run it almost like a manga novel or a graphic novel, a manga volume. I'm a little hesitant on that one because I like the ideas of having our short floppies because, well, Red Squirrel's supposed to imitate that sort of style. But I really want more feedback from my fan base and the following that I have about that. So if you're out there on the replay, go ahead and leave a comment below because I really, really need that feedback. Just so I can have an idea of what my audience is actually going to put up from me. But we are about an hour 50 into this. So it's probably about time for me to be wrapping this up. This was fun. This was great exercise. And I love just actually getting to talk about the character for now. I plan on trying to do this about weekly. And I will try to talk more about the comics later through the week as I get used to this new work schedule. So this will probably be sporadic throughout the week. Keep in touch with the channel so you can find out when I'm going to be doing this. I have a Twitter at Dr. Crow Carnival, so you can follow me there if you haven't. I'm here on YouTube, so subscribe, like, comment, all that sort of jazz. I had a Discord, but I'm going to probably be shutting the Discord down. Ultimately, nobody is coming here from the Discord anymore. As far as I can tell, the Discord is largely abandoned outside of like 2 channels. So that I think it's just time to bring that to an end. It didn't work out. Otherwise, if you're interested in what I'm doing, I have a number of playlists, mostly of my D&D games that I'm running. We've just restarted the Pirate game, and we're going through the last couple of levels of that. So that gets streamed every Saturday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm also going to be playing Batman Arkham City on Sundays from about 4:30 to 7 Eastern Standard Time. So next week, when we pick up for Red Squirrel stuff, I'm going to talk more heavily about the side characters that are going to be on there, about what they are, what they're up to, and what they mean for Red Squirrel. And as I build out and flesh out the world around her. So I appreciate you all coming to this. I'll see you guys next week. Until then, I'm Dr. Crow. I read a book once, and it's my goal to make you smile. I'll see you all later. Bye-bye.